Cotton.
Mr. Feinberg, you've already mentioned in your opening remarks and your exchange with Senator Wicker the importance of revitalizing our defense industry. One important tool the department has is the Defense Production Act, going back decades, but unfortunately it's frequently struggled to effectively use the Defense Production Act. The previous administration used it for non-critical needs like so-called green energy. What are your thoughts on how we could reform the Defense Production Act and use it more effectively to jumpstart our defense industry?
Yes, Senator, thank you. It's a great tool for us. I think we have to combine some of our top people at the Pentagon with private sector capability and look at the kind of things that we really need with urgency, speed, of course, a lot of due diligence, but not crushing due diligence, which takes us 6 months, a year and a half, which often happens in those kind of programs. Got to go faster, got to realize the threat, got to put the right people who can go faster.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and I agree. And especially when you get to the subcomponent level in industry, there's a lot of challenges with supply. And the Defense Production Act was passed decades ago out of recognition that when we're in a crisis, as I think we face now around the world, the defense industry simply has to come first when it comes to certain critical components or supply chain challenges. You identified China as the most serious threat we face, certainly the most serious long-term threat we face. I completely agree with that. I'm curious about your thoughts on what are the key acquisition programs underway right now or that might soon be underway that you think we would need in a conflict in the Western Pacific? Obviously, a conflict most likely to happen if Communist China decided to go for the jugular in Taiwan.
Yeah, I mean, clearly we need to develop autonomy in significant numbers with a centralized command, effectively brain. And we have to make the right decision on whether we need to build the next generation aircraft or we can rely on autonomy. Of course, we got to improve our shipbuilding. China's very strong there. Our nuclear capabilities are old. We have to upgrade them. And we have to develop hypersonics. We can't allow the Chinese to be faster than us, both in their weaponry and aircraft, and so many more, Senator.
Yeah, thank you. I agree on all of those. One question or issue that you mentioned in there is whether we have a manned sixth-generation fighter. I know that you haven't been on the job yet. You haven't gotten all the briefings that we've had on the committee. Do you have any preliminary thoughts on the need for a manned fighter?
Well, it's a controversial issue, Senator. I know there's views on both sides. I want to get in there, if I'm fortunate enough to be confirmed, look at all the classified information, and ultimately that decision could be made by the Secretary or the President even, and see if I can add some value to it.
Sure. As we discussed, I hope that we can move along promptly. You can get the same information the committee has. It's a decision that needs to be made soon, but it's not imminent in a matter of days. I mean, there are several weeks left, I believe, before the decision needs to be made. Sure. What about any thoughts on munitions? Obviously, munitions are complicated these days, but they're still not a stealth bomber. They're not an aircraft carrier. We do need to increase basic rates of production on these. It's not reinventing the wheel. It's just making more of the same stuff. Any thoughts on how we can accelerate production rates in private industry?
It's a tough problem. A lot of times in ammunition, you need ammunition machines effectively to help build it, and those are in short supply. You know, my hope is, if I am confirmed, that for each of these shortages, get in there, look at the specific facts, go over it in detail, understand the weaknesses, and come up with a detailed operating plan. And my humble opinion often, in the past, maybe some of the senior civilian leadership in the Pentagon, maybe not as deep into the detail of these. Every operating entity has all sorts of detail you got to get into. So I don't know yet, but I think there's a lot of companies we can attract to help us with this problem. It's not rocket science, munitions, and there is an ability to expand.
Okay. Thank you, and thanks to your family, your very large extended family and their record of service to our nation in the military and in law enforcement, and also thanks to your father, who's watching today, part of the greatest generation along with your uncles. It's a great American story that reflects the story of so many other of our military families.
Thank you for your service, Senator. I appreciate it.